Hey there, everybody. It's Christian, and thank you for coming back for another Let's Look At. Actually, today it gives me great pleasure to bring you this video featuring the work of Ralph Meyer from the comic book series The Undertaker. This is written by Xavier Dorison, colored by Carolyn Delaby, and it's illustrated by Ralph Meyer. If you don't know this fellow's name, Ralph Meyer, now you do, and you're welcome. So, it's a Western, if you couldn't tell by the cover. And the story follows a mysterious fellow by the name of Jonas, who is an undertaker. If you haven't seen Ralph Meyer's artwork, it's very heavily inspired from artists like Mobius and a slew of other artists that basically are just on top in the European comic book world. I'm gonna have to get some more names. I mean, there's so many to draw reference to. Roger Ibanez, and off the top of my head, I can't remember his name, but the fellow who did Black Sad. I mean, these are some of the greatest comic book graphic novel stories that are out there. So Ralph Meyer does almost all of this ink work exclusively with a brush, if I'm not mistaken. I think I've seen him use a quill for some finer details, but overall he's doing the dry brush effect in some instances. I think you can tell pretty easily with that vulture right there. A lot of heavy blacks. I I I've I've looked at all of his ink work for this comic book, and it's just as appealing as the final result here with the colors. The colors are pretty impressive too. You'd think they were done in watercolor, the way they've been put in there, but this is actually all done digitally. Pretty amazing how you can get that effect in Photoshop, no? And there's our man, Jonas. I absolutely love this style. Um, it's not super tight. It's got a bit of a loose feel to it. Nothing's over detailed. I mean, you can really sit there and look at a panel, see how the brush strokes work for the effects that they're intended for. You know, as an artist, as you get better with planning pages out for comic books, you start to play with things like silhouettes and just shapes as opposed to drawing crazy things out. And Ralph Meyer does a really good job of just interlacing the right focal point based off of what he's got in foreground, what he's got in the background, pointing you, leading you right through the story. So the telegraph man is coming out to talk to Jonas, who's parked in the shade beside his office there. You know, your eye follows him in the word bubble, and Jonas in the shade. I spend a lot of time looking at this stuff, and I think of all of the videos I've done so far, this is the first one where the artist uses a lot of heavy black for shadow and silhouette enhancement. I say silhouette a lot, and you're going to hear me say it a lot as we go through more and more books. I used to be an animator, so when I was getting taught animation and doing animation, there was a very strong emphasis to illustrate your characters when doing keyframes in an animation, and you want to use silhouettes and poses that are almost instantly recognizable to what your character is doing, you know, showing emotion through body language, and then just like the execution of it is the power of the silhouette, you know. And what I mean by that is you take any of these poses, if you're to black them out entirely and just leave a, you know, almost like what would be the shadow of that, like a cast shadow of that pose, if you could tell from that pose all blacked out that the individual was running, that they were jumping, that they were throwing a punch, then you probably have a really strong pose, is what I mean to say. So, like, even this top left panel that we're looking at here, where it looks like Jonas is dusting off his jacket, you know, if you were to black that out, I think for the most part you would gather there's a man wearing a hat. You might even gather that he has the cigarette in his face or hanging out of his face. And then, you know, the placement of the fingers and the placement of the shoulders and the angle of the arm and the shape of the body. It probably read very similar. And same with this guy in behind, you know. Although, let's say the telegraph man in behind there, if you were to black him out, he may look like he's missing his right arm. Anyway, no digressing. Like I said, these are all like all the finishing strokes here that are done in a darker line weight and in a thick black drop shadow. That's all done with brush, and you can see the dry brush effect when he's hatching lines over the hand here. It's a really nice effect, as long as it's butted up with like with a bold, heavy line that is clear and concise, and as long as they all follow the same direction all your other contour lines are going, it really works. I'm gonna have to make some tutorial videos in the future there to illustrate for you exactly what I mean by brush strokes, dry brush strokes, brush inking, the usage of you know, a nib or a micron in conjunction with a brush for inking techniques. Basically, show you how these artists get to this result. Just stick with me, guys. I promise. I'm gonna go through everything for you. We'll take panels and we'll deconstruct them and we'll recreate them and we'll break them down to the pipeline process is what I like to call it. Back to the pipeline. What I mean by the pipeline process is, in animation you have your key animators, your storyboard department, your director. You have everybody who comes before the final animation, right? You got recordings done in a studio. Animators are animating to the recordings of the voice actors. There's the music laid in, everything, right? Pipeline process. For comic books, it's obviously not so demanding of such a huge manpower. And with comic books, you know, traditionally it's been penciler, inker, colorist, letterer, bubbler, if that's one job, and then you know, the publishing is the last. Publishing and print is the last thing. So nowadays, you know, with our tools and our skills and our drive being different and the focus being different and the market's changing, now you can, you know, change that pipeline process from like 5 men to 3 or 2 if you're that tenacious, you know. I'm gonna be doing something along the lines of tenacious, writing and penciling and inking my own shit. Um, I'm looking for a colorist though, so as this channel continues to grow, I'm going to continue to mention that, because I do. I don't think in all of the endeavors I'm able to actually muster, coloring is one of the ones I'll fall short on. I just won't have the time. It'll slow me up and deter me from moving forward with things. So, whoever's listening, just keep that in the back of your mind. I am looking for a colorist, alright? I probably should wrap this video up here, but what do you think, guys? Is Ralph Meyer the shit or what? I haven't spoiled any of this story for you. Basically, all you need to know is this fella right here on the sign with the gold mine behind him. He is the owner of that gold mine, and basically a big wealth source for this prospector town. And I believe the story truly begins when he dies and intends to be buried with his fortune in his belly, and that's how I believe he dies. Is he consumes the gold on his last night of living, dies with his entire fortune in his stomach. And I won't say another word, because that's just how epic it is. Anyways, you guys have seen enough. If this artwork doesn't turn your crank, I don't know what's gonna. This is the kind of stuff I'm going to try to show more of, you know, just obscure artwork from overseas. You know, we'll get into manga and Japanese art, and I mean, there's just so much stuff to appreciate and look at out here. This showcase side project here on YouTube is going to be more work than I ever anticipated. Look at that shot right there. We'll end on that one in the bottom. Well, just this one right here, folks. Come here. Damn it. This one. Right here. This guy. Talk about silhouette and brush strokes doing the job for you. Those trees are basically just blacked out. So is the background. All the details right up here with the carriage, the characters, and the town hall there, or the fat man's mansion. God, Ralph Meyer, everybody, go check out his artwork. Go check out this book, okay? You're looking at the Undertaker. The Undertaker, Volume 1 or Book 1, The Gold Eater. Go get it. Go read it. It's been translated to English. You can get it on Amazon. Just like the other books that I've done, I'll leave the link for it in the description. If you're not a fan already, I hope you're a fan now. The artwork and the books I'm going to show you are only going to get better and better. And I have artwork of my own to showcase, so you know, make sure you follow me on Instagram, Reddit, Twitch. All at Christian Wolf Art, like it says there in the bottom of the screen. And I'll have a couple videos out for you soon here. Later in the week. I think I'm going to do Jazz Maynard next by old Roger Ibanez. We'll take a look at a couple of books from that series. Alright, thanks for stopping by, people. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Have a good day.